What's up, everybody? Kevin Lavello here. Welcome to the 10th episode of I Ask No One with Kevin Ray. 10th episode. I'd like to start off these episodes with a little cheers. So cheers to you, and cheers to Lindsey Schrader Bouskill, my cousin Eric's wife. She turns 40 today. Cheers. Love you, Lindsey. Ice cold Jaeger at noon. To the 14 people that are here, this is the most amount of people I've started with that are streaming. Thank you. Happy belated birthday to Christian Lavender, my best college buddy over there in Severnaya Park, Maryland. He has also entered the 32 Club. My good friend Bob Szudzik. Bob had surgery this past week. I had given Sonny Sandoval of POD 250 characters on an app called Cameo to give him a shout. So Bob has had a successful surgery, staying positive. We're right there with you, Bob. I purchased a webcam on a website, which I thought was going to be legit. I got gypped out, so I don't have a new webcam. I'm going to get one soon. PayPal has refunds. That's the end of that story. So just a little word for the wise. Be careful what you're buying online these days. People are really desperate. So also, I'd like to start off each episode with a fact of the day, today in music. So today in music, in 1970, there was a small band called Smile. Smile performed as Queen for the first time ever today in 1970. So I never knew that. Smile became Queen. Have you heard of Tom Jones? Tom Jones is Sir Tom Woodward. He sang the Thunderball song on James Bond Thunderball in 1965, my personal favorite James Bond movie. I know my Uncle Chris is a big fan of James Bond too. And I can't wait for the new one to come out. But Tom Jones, he was known as Tiger. He, at the height of his fame, had 250 groupies reportedly a year. Tom Jones is one of the guys that would come into the Hotel Bel-Air who I would take care of when he would come into the restaurant. So just a little foreshadow of what's to come in today's episode. In 1989, today in history here, Tom Jones had his name put on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And when I was living in LA, going up and down the street for auditions and Jimmy Kimmel performances to watch and all that kind of stuff, it was cool to kind of scan the scene and see who's on the Walk of Fame, including my favorite all-time comedian, Chris Farley. But Tom Jones, he entered that realm of superstars in 1989 when I was 1 year old. So there you go. See some comments coming in. Yeah. So Shannon Hoon of the band Blind Melon, R.I.P. Shannon Hoon. There's a documentary that came out today. It's called All I Can Say, which is a line from No Rain. So No Rain by Blind Melon was, I think, the number one single of the whole entire 1992. So it was kind of like grunge kind of phase. There's a documentary that came out, All I Can Say. Check out the trailer. I'll post it. Very, very cool. So I have an open house to host. I got to bust out at the 20-minute mark. So we're at 3:53 right now. I'm just going to get started here. And I've got my telephone, which is full of the cool logo, right? And it's full of the celebrities. So these are the celebrities I'm going to be going over today. I'm going to see how long I could get, how many I could cram into 20 minutes. So here we go. To start off, just to give you a heads up about what Chef Wolfgang Puck, Hotel Bel-Air, what that experience was like. I lived in San Diego for 2 years, between 13 and 15, moved up to LA to further my pursuit of becoming a famous actor. But I got my IMDb credits. I still have my own page. I became a member of the Screen Actors Guild. Amazing experiences, met a lot of the coolest, most interesting people I've ever met. And that included being lead host at 5-star 5-diamond hotel, Forbes 5-star 5-diamond hotel, Wolfgang Puck at Hotel Bel-Air. Hotel Bel-Air is a jewel in LA. You mention the hotel to anyone in the county, they know what you're talking about. So I had no job moving up to LA. It was up to me to find a job. And when I was driving up to the hotel through Bel-Air, I only heard of Bel-Air through, Black Sabbath recording or writing in a big ass mansion there in 1972 for Volume 4 record. But I also heard of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air too. But driving up there, it was such a rush. It was open interviews. I was full Tommy Hilfiger, suit, ironed out, everything. And people showed up there for this position that, I had a shirt and tie, maybe had a shirt, maybe some wrinkly cargo pants, whatever. But I got the job. Paula with HR, Paula Zelaya, and then Hugo Bolaños with Chef. They liked my vibe. Thanks to my experience at Tempo Restaurant and fine dining, I was brought aboard a very prestigious place in LA. And that's where I worked while pursuing my acting jobs and pursuing concerts and chasing my heroes. So I was fortunate enough in this hotel, the restaurant was right in the middle of the hotel. So anyone checking in or whatever would be coming through their rooms, and Kanye and Kim would be walking by. Who cares about them, right? But a bunch of different celebrities. And the number one celebrity that I met that I was so stoked to meet. All right, so number one off the bat, Keanu Reeves. I watched The Matrix last night. And today's quote of the day is Temet Nosce, Nosce for my Latin friends. I don't know how to say it, but Temet Nosce. Keanu Neo was in the kitchen of the Oracle, and she pointed up right above the door that he came in through, and it was a slogan, Temet Nosce, let's say, and that is Latin for know thyself. And I've connected with that since 1999 when that movie came out. It was always kind of mysterious Latin, whatever, but know thyself. And on week two at Hotel Bel-Air, Wolfgang Puck, I'm confirming a reservation, as you would do 48 hours to go into the reservation. And I'm midway through the call. We got guests coming in. I have my colleague to my left taking care of guests coming in. And in the middle of my phone call, I kind of look up and I see maybe a Lebanese fella, rocker kind of hair, biker, kind of a nice leather jacket. I need to get a leather jacket. But a black kind of leather jacket. This guy looks like a badass, really. But I was just finishing up my call with the guest, and behind him, this guy standing, was Keanu Reeves with his hair kind of messed up. He had his motorcycle helmet in his hand. And this is when I was still really raw with celebrities, but I couldn't finish my call. I'm like, oh my God, and I was just like, okay, put it down. And, I was a front of house person. I was the first male they hired in over a decade at the hotel. Chef Wolfgang Puck, he just bought a house up the street. So this was his baby hotel. He was there a lot. And, he knew all the celebrities. But Keanu Reeves, the tall, quiet, cool guy, even in my acting days, that was my big motivation. But, he went over to table 50, and I would occasionally look over at him, and he'd be, I'm like, oh my God, Keanu's eating bread. So I'm like, there's the one, Neo's eating bread. And that was just amazing. I lived in Culver City, and he had a motorcycle shop there, which was pretty sweet. And I look forward to meet him again someday. On to the next one, Munky. So I just listed these names just from no importance or anything. I wanted to mention Keanu, right? But I just rattled them off, just typing them up. Munky. Munky is the guitarist in a band called Korn out of Bakersfield, California. Korn. Any Korn fans out there? Blake, man, you are too fucking metal, man. Thanks for always tuning in. Appreciate your support, brother. Munky, I took care of him twice. So John Shaffer, he came in with his family for Mother's Day. and they had to wait for a table. And his wife and his kids went off into the bar and lounge area to chill. And he was on his phone over to the side here. I had some time to kill. And I just remember walking up to him and saying, you know, this is the first time that I really walked up to someone to acknowledge my fanship. Because at Wolfgang Puck, it's a Forbes 5-star, 5-diamond hotel. You have to look at people the right way. You know, you got to say stuff the right way. And I can't tell you how many times I was written up in the beginning for, you know, those kind of things. So didn't see my manager around. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I went over to Shaffer and I just said, man, big fan, dude. And I saw you're going to be playing with Rob Zombie and Irvine. It's going to be fun. And he's like, yeah, dude, you take a piece of that place with you. It's going to be closing up at the end of this year. I'm like, oh, really, really? And he said, see, I'm just rewinding back. Dave Lombardo of Slayer just became a drummer for Suicidal Tendencies. So I brought that up to him, and I brought that up to about Lamb of God. And then he said, you're a metalhead, aren't you? And he's like, what's your name? And I said, I'm Kevin. He's like, I'm James. And we just continued conversation, and it was like I was friends with him for a long time. Really cool guy. I've seen him live at concerts up front, and it's funny he's looking at me, oh, I know you from somewhere. The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. I met Dwayne Johnson. He would come in occasionally with his agent, go right over to the private spot, table 54. And The Rock, he, best smile in show business. He looked everyone in the eye. I showed him over to his table. And between that spot at my front desk to his table, I like to kind of just engage in conversation. How are you doing today? You know, something like that. And I remember I looked over at him when I was walking him, and I gave him a smile, and he smiled right back at me. And I've never forgotten that ever. But just the energy that guy has, and I've just, you know, with the wrestling days, the Attitude Era, and what he's done with his career in bodybuilding and film, just amazing. And yeah, Tony, this was 2015. So this was Bald Rock, all right. That was I'm kind of speechless. The Rock was really, really cool. Reese Witherspoon. So I met Reese Witherspoon. She was she didn't even have an assistant to call in to make the reservation. She would call in herself, which is really nice. Jamie Lee Curtis was the same way. But Reese Witherspoon came and sat at table 70, and she was with her family. And it's funny to see these celebs when they're with their family, because you kind of see their faces on their different siblings. And Reese Witherspoon is no different. Her brother looked just like her. Just a really sweet girl. You really wouldn't imagine that she's this big celebrity, you know? She was just that girl next door kind of vibe. I believe it was Easter Sunday, Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom were dating. So Katy Perry, you know, Katy Perry, the fireworks song and all that bullshit, Hannah. But Orlando Bloom, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, especially Fellowship of the Ring. So to see Orlando Bloom like that was, I'm like, wow, there's Legolas. And they had a big table up on the deck, her whole family, and then he was with her family. And I was talking with Katy Perry's sister, kind of setting up the reservation. But Orlando Bloom, I could tell he had his schmooze face on, like he wanted to like impress the family. He was moving from person to person. And he was, especially with the little kids, he was really warming up to them. Just seemed like a really cool dude. He didn't have the blonde hair or a bow and arrow back there, but still, there was Orlando Bloom, man. So, Shania Twain. She came in by herself. Her record, Come On Over, Baby, or something like that, came out in 99 or something. She has one of the best-selling records since 1991 ever. Some physical copies sold in that record. Shania Twain. Sean Penn. Sean Penn, if you were to ask me who was the biggest dick celebrity, it was probably him. He would definitely go in the bathroom, smoke weed, put out his cigarettes in our plants right in front of us. No shame. Leather jacket. You know, he definitely had the badass look to him. Sean Penn, there you go. Taylor Hawkins. I talked about that a little bit earlier last week with my dad. If you haven't seen that episode, I suggest you check it out. It's really fun, in conversation with my dad, which, by the way, we're going to do again Labor Day weekend. So that'll be fun. And Ryan, I will get to Justin Timberlake. We're just moving along here. 16 minutes. Got 4 minutes left until I got to bounce. I have some open house. I have a open house to host. Stephen Stills of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. David Crosby and his wife. David Crosby, as I mentioned in previous episodes, he had a little bit of a health scare when he was staying at the hotel. But I saw it just after I went to Neil Young's Bridge School benefit concert in 2016. Minor from Vancouver was there, and Hugh Stewart from UK, and gosh, who else? I'm forgetting a few of the guys, but the Metallica diehards were there because Metallica was playing an acoustic set at Neil Young's Bridge School benefit concert in Mountain View, California, and it's held annually, and it benefits a lot of the mentally handicapped children who actually are on the perimeter of the stage, and just a classic NorCal venue. So Dave Matthews played it, Roger Waters, Metallica, Willie Nelson, and then Neil Young, of course. Neil Young came out and played Mr. Soul with Metallica acoustically, which was dynamite. But I was there night two. It was a party. It was fun. But the next day I came into work, and there David Crosby was, and on his exit I brought up the fact that, I'm not going to reenact what I said, but with these kind of guys, they're just, Dave Crosby was so chill, such a nice guy, and his wife was so sweet. And he made a few comments about the Bridge School benefit concert, and really sweet. Joshua Homme, his wife actually. So I'm looking at comments here. Let's see. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. Good one, Luke. Lord of the Rings quote. Mrs. Josh Homme, they actually just got a divorce. I just found out about that. But they were there on their anniversary. He was nowhere to be seen. She came into the restaurant with some friends that night. She referred to me by my first name. I must have spoken to her on the phone. So she had really, really big boobs. Ringo Starr. Ringo Starr is a Beatle. Ringo Starr is one of the surviving Beatles, along with Sir Paul McCartney. Ringo Starr came in on that same day with Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom. So up there on the deck, Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom had their big table, and then we set up Ringo Starr and his family up adjacent to that. Imagine that, Ringo Starr, Katy Perry, huh? But he would occasionally pose with some kids who would be in with their family. Some kids would come up, hey, a picture, and he would strike the Ringo Starr piece sign. Ringo Starr, man, shit. I met a Beatle. Insane. Michael, Atlas Lane, and J-Glam, my two metal spirit animals, they came in to visit me. We had dinner at table 54. Michael, Atlas Lane of a band called Detriment, death metal pioneers there in San Pedro, California, and Los Angeles, California. And of course, Jordan Glam, WWE sub Hall of Famer. Love you, Jordan. Al Pacino. So we're at 1941. Shit, this flew by. So I'm going to end here with Al Pacino. And then maybe in a few weeks or a month, I'll continue with part two. Maybe this will be a 3-part thing. But Al Pacino, he Al Pacino, man, he asked me where the bathroom was, later on in his meal. And all I thought about was the Godfather scene when he went to the back thing where he had the gun, in the Italian cafe. And wow, that was so cool. He came in with a music producer called T-Bone Burnett, if I remember correctly. And I had him set up. His name was not brought up on the reservation, so I had T-Bone Burnett set up at the table that he usually sits at, which was table number 72, on the left side, right there in the courtyard. And there was a table of 6 or 7 or something like that. And he comes in, and right behind him is Al Pacino with long hair, slicked back, and I'm just, I go to show him over to the table, and I'm walking over to the table, and I'm thinking to myself, Pacino's probably not going to want to sit here at this table in front of all these people. It was like a Saturday night or something like that. And he came right up to me. He's like, hey, any way we could go, one of those. And I'm hearing Al Pacino's voice, that classic, recognizable Pacino voice, one of the great American actors of all time. And my higher up, Micah, food and beverage director, he was looking at me over here on the right, and he was just, and I said, yeah, I gave him a nod to set that table up. And that's what we did. We set them up right away. We set up the table. They moved over there away from everyone else in the alcove area, and it worked out. But Al Pacino, man, I got home from work. I fired up the PlayStation 3, and I put on Scarface, and I just laughed myself through that movie. As depressing as it is sometimes, that movie, it's filled with quotes and so on, and I still quote that with Steve Wood and my friends all the time. I'm just looking at comments here. No, Dad, I did not ask Mr. Pacino if he was going to grab a Beretta or something like that in the bathroom. But to be continued. Thanks for tuning in. It's a short one, my shortest one yet. So this will probably be a 3-part series now that I think about it. So part 1, thanks for tuning in. I have an open house to host. I have a shift at Wolfgang Puck. That'd be really cool. I have a shift at 800 Maple tonight. So come on in if you're in the area, grab a drink, 6 feet separate, yada, yada. You guys, thanks a lot. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry, stay heavy, man. We'll see you next week. See you guys.